Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane Podcast, episode 97 today, to review the Singapore Grand Prix with the usual host, myself and Tom. Callum cannot join us, sadly, today, but to be fair, it's probably a good race to miss, not going to lie. So the Singapore Grand Prix wasn't exactly extremely amazing one. There wasn't chaos. I probably jinxed it by saying I was looking forward to the chaos before the race on Twitter, and it certainly wasn't anything like last year's Grand Prix. But it did mean quite a bit for the championship. Obviously, Hamilton, you would have seen one, and as Ferrari put it, it was the boredom winner, which is another, 2 years in a row, Ferrari have done like a bit of a salty tweet after the Singapore Grand Prix. I think they're going to make a habit of it, maybe. But yeah, Hamilton won, Verstappen second, Vettel third. It means a lot for the championship, but since it wasn't a very insane race in terms of big talking points, we're just going to dissect it team by team here very, very simply today. So let's start off with Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton winning the Grand Prix, Bottas in fourth place. So in my mind, Tom, I tweeted out very jokingly in jest, congratulations to Lewis Hamilton for winning his fifth World Championship, because I think, obviously mathematically it's not over yet, but I think that's it for me personally. I think Hamilton's he's surely, if he doesn't win it, in my mind now, he should just retire on the fact that how have blown a 40-point lead. I don't know about you, but he's done a great job this weekend turning around a circuit that was quote-unquote a Ferrari track.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think he deserved it. Brilliant weekend.
Yeah.
I definitely think they found something for this weekend. I don't think this was as much of a Ferrari race as we thought it would be. I think from the get-go, I think Friday looked okay for Ferrari, but ultimately it was Mercedes' weekend. I mean, it wasn't even a one-off of Hamilton beating Vettel. Like, Bottas beat Raikkonen also. Like, both Mercedes beat both Ferraris quite easily. So, for me, I just think they've exercised their demon. I said it after qualifying yesterday. I just think whatever they were doing wrong, they might have lost pace. I think they've just sussed it out, basically.
Well, I mean, that pole lap was something else from Hamilton. Like, he was right on the edge.
Special. But even then, I think he still would have. Like, there was 0.6 of a second there to Vettel.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't special, he still would have done it. I just think, ultimately, I think the car was there for him, and he also put it all together. Mercedes, when it mattered, have found the pace in the car. And like I said, they've exercised their demons. Their biggest weaknesses is now, you could argue, their biggest strength, because they're strong at this sort of track. And I think this whole Ferrari being the better car, again, might have been over-exaggerated a bit. I think Mercedes is still reminding everybody that they have won the last 4 championships for a reason. So they've.
I think they had to work for it a lot harder this year to bring the car back.
Definitely.
There was definitely a big stage of the season where the Ferrari was clearly the faster car. But I think, once again, me and you have said it before, especially you, in terms of just talking about how Ferrari go about their business year after year. It's that case of, can they keep up the rate of development? Can they keep up on top? And I don't know if it's development or just, fine-tuning the car, finding things to do with the car, because really neither team's brought major updates visually, but they've done work clearly behind the scenes. And, again, Ferrari have just kind of wilted for the second time here. And surprisingly, Singapore is the place. Obviously, last year was quite a dramatic big swing with the way Vettel crashed out, obviously. But this year is kind of just like more of a subtle sort of, like last year was a big gunshot to Ferrari. This year was kind of like a delicate stab at Ferrari of like, this is it, mate. It's over.
Yeah, to be fair, I think to put it nicely, or not nicely, but more poetically, I think the knife was dug in at Germany, and today it's been turned.
That's good. Yeah, that's a very good phrase. Yeah.
For me, if you look, if you have to summarize the season in highlights, you cut to Germany in that moment when he got angry in the cockpit when he binned it into the stadium section. So, but yeah, I think ultimately, I literally just retweeted a tweet about 10 minutes ago before we did the podcast. With Ferrari, it's a frustrating one, at least on Twitter anyway, because you look at it and it's Ferrari fans being mad at Vettel for bottling it, Vettel fans being mad at Ferrari for giving Vettel dodgy strategies, Ferrari fans being mad at the team for making Raikkonen number 2. Loads of things, basically. It's just a toxic environment at the moment in Ferrari, and like for me personally, the sooner Leclerc comes into the seat, the better. So I think with Ferrari, I also tweeted out earlier on, I don't know if you saw it, Vettel for me is on his last life. Mathematically speaking, if Vettel wins every single race remaining and Hamilton comes second, which in a way on paper could happen because Ferrari still have a good car.
Always could.
Vettel would win the championship by 2 points. So
Yeah.
essentially, he is on his last life now, and he cannot make any more mistakes because it's still in his hands in a way. Like I said, if he gets first and Hamilton gets second, the best Hamilton can do is finish behind him, and it's still not enough. The second that becomes a third or a fourth place, that's when you start to really lose grasp of it. So for me, I still think it's done. I think I agree with you. I think the championship is over. Hamilton this weekend was incredible, done the job. Di Resta said it in qualifying. His lap was a championship-winning lap right there, and I completely agree with him. I think qualifying won the race today because the actual start, Vettel was good at the race start. You know, if he'd got that race start from second place, you never know, it could have been better. Verstappen as well deserves a shout out in qualifying, and Bottas. He's really faded lately, hasn't he? He's really faded compared to Lewis.
It's funny how, I think we were saying, after Baku especially, he could be leading the championship, and now he's just nowhere again. He's just wilted, and he's kind of like been that. Like last year, we said he was very off and on, like very hot and cold. This year, it's kind of been like that, but over the course of many races, like he
stayed hot.
He was hot for a period and then went cold for this long ass period now. So instead of being a bit more volatile race to race, it's been volatile of swings of like 3-4 races. So yeah, very, very odd sense, and kind of annoys me in a way because I'd much rather have an exciting driver like Ocon in the other car to Hamilton,
especially after what happened over this race. People in and around.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but I mean,
I think I do want to make a point. I think it's fair saying now. I think Mercedes and Ferrari now are just equal cars. I think even then, I said to you in Cal podcast ago when people were saying, "Oh yeah, Ferrari now the best team," I still said I weren't convinced because it's something that I feel right. It just doesn't feel right. The same way I think this weekend before qualifying, I had I just had that bad feeling. The same way in Monza when Hamilton was chasing down Raikkonen, and after a few laps, you thought to yourself, Hamilton's got this, hasn't he? He's just got this because he's just controlling it. I had the same feeling again in qualifying. I was like, I think he's going to do it. I just think he's got something in the car. Straight after practice, Hamilton said the car felt great, got a lot of confidence. I can definitely mix it up with the big boys. And to be fair, that's what happened. At the moment, you could argue maybe in raw pace, the Ferrari's a bit faster, but the Mercedes is way more consistent, way better on its tyres especially. That's the killer blow for me at the moment in the championship. Ferrari just cannot match Mercedes for tyre wear. Like they chew their tyres up in Spa realistically because Mercedes could definitely go longer in that race, as Hamilton proved by staying out in the super softs. Yeah. Again in Monza when Hamilton stayed out so many more laps than Raikkonen in that first stint. And again today when Vettel came in really early for the softs, the radio message in there, the double bluff with Hamilton saying I've got no rear tyres left and then setting a couple of fastest laps. For me, I just think as a package,
I mean, that
Mercedes
but
are putting the work the last couple of races.
The strategy was just awful. I don't know why Vettel was pitting that early and was not going on to softs. Oh, yeah. He went ultras, and it was just...
I can understand their logic because I think what they wanted to do was...
try and jump in,
undercut.
But I get that because... wasn't going to work, though.
He got to the end of the race, which was, again, a very Bahrain-esque race from lap 9 all the way on ultras. He did it. He got to the end, so he saved himself that pain of an extra stop in a way, and that's what he would have done to keep Hamilton and Verstappen behind. But again, it felt like one of them strategies where they were undercutting thin air again.
Yeah, like all the way back to 2016 Hockenheim.
Or something like that,
or 2015 or so whatever it was. Yeah, just like Hamilton extended the gap with that strategy because he had cleaner air. Vettel had traffic. And it was like as soon as what was it on Channel 4 they're doing the commentary and they're kind of like, okay, so there's there's the traffic car. Where on earth is Vettel as Hamilton comes down the pit lane? Oh, there he is. Oh, it looks like he's extended the gap. It was just sort of that moment where I went, oh, that's just embarrassing, isn't it? That's just actually embarrassing for Ferrari in terms of how's that actually happened. And then then Verstappen jumped in as well, which was even worse.
That was
especially after
turning the knife again.
Especially after him as the driver did the work to overtake him, and then it was undone by the strategy.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, at the end of the day, we've seen a couple of dodgy strategies in the last 2 or 3 races from Ferrari. People I remind people like to throw a lot of shade at Mercedes. mainly Hamilton fans, because
well, we did as well. To be fair,
we did.
To be fair, we threw a lot of shade, but the difference is, like I said, with the car as well, they've worked on it, and their strategy work, they've also worked on it. I saw a tweet earlier, I can't remember who it was from, but on the timeline, like, you know, there's the difference maybe between a team where someone like James Vowles comes on the radio and puts his hands up and saying, I made a mistake, and they worked at it, and now Vowles has been heralded for 2 different good strategies at Italy and here. And Ferrari was, I think the end of the tweet was, you know, Ferrari's still that kind of team where they've got too many egos in the kitchen of like, oh, yeah, this is going to definitely work. And, oh, no one's at fault. We're a team. We're still, you know, no one's being held accountable for these little mistakes here and there. You know, it's just...
For me, they got it wrong in the sense, I think today was... It almost feels like... I understand, because I said in the preview, Vettel has to win today. I said it myself. And it felt like they played their desperate card of, this is our last chance, we just have to go for it. But if they literally just stayed out a few more laps, cleared Perez, coming for the soft, they could have easily taken home a second place today instead of a third, and, you know, cut 3 points, because they were never going to win today. At no moment did Ferrari have the pace over the weekend. If anyone thought Ferrari were going to win today, you're watching a different race. So for me, it was about, they should have just taken second place. They rolled the ultra soft gamble, that they played that card of desperation of, we might lose the championship here, we have to go for it. And ultimately, Verstappen ended up coming out on top. So for me, it was all wrong from the get-go. Interesting, there's a lot of tweets over yesterday as well, I don't know if you saw them or not, about the radio communications between Vettel and the team yesterday. Vettel really wanted to qualify on that ultra soft in Q2, but the team stopped him. Vettel said he could find half a second. That half a second would have comfortably got him through into Q3 on the ultra.
Yeah.
But the team just basically ordered him in to come in. And you look at it on paper today, and you think to yourself, you know, in hindsight, if they'd let Vettel do what he wanted to do,
and that in itself
could have paid off.
That in itself is horrendous, because the driver really, you know, yes, he's an integral part, but at the end of the day, actually, he shouldn't be having to make his own strategy up in a way. Like, I know we do it on the F1 game because that's what you're meant to do, because there's no engineer talking to you, but in real life, you are not employed to do that. Other people have got a full-time job to do that, of strategizing, actually running those numbers, and not in a meme way, like actually doing the numbers and seeing what's going to work. And if your driver is giving the feedback of, I can find half a second, then believe in him and go, yeah, okay, cool. And if he gets it wrong, it's his fault. But they end up with this race. Now he didn't qualify on that tire. Something could have changed, and he could have, you know, got that second place easily, or they could have done something different. And, you know, yeah, just... I'm not even that, like, I don't really care too much about Ferrari, like, you know, as a team, really, but it's just kind of annoying because, again, a championship fight has faltered away, and it was looking so good for so many races, and now it's just kind of, like you said, the knife was in, and it's slowly been turned and turned and turned. This was like the final half turn to do with full 360 turn of the knife and really put it in there.
Just to drive a point. I mean, Eddie Jordan, Channel 4, I don't know if you saw that bit equal as well, saying this was the race where it ended. And it did. Fair play to Lewis. I think it's going to take a miracle now for Sebastian to do anything. Personally now, for me, it's a double-edged sword because, you know, knowing who I support, I don't really want to see no driver getting into 7 titles. So for me, it's Vettel and Hamilton, both 4 each. It's the lesser of the two evils. And I've leniency towards Vettel because he drives for the team that I like more. Simple as that. I still don't really like Vettel. You know, I've never have. I don't think I'll ever like Lewis. I'll respect the hell out of him. That's why I just want Leclerc. Get him in that car. He's got 0 championships. He's starting afresh. He's someone that I've liked. I can get behind from the beginning. And just watch him in that red car do business. You know, we got a little tease today with him and Gasly having a bit of a scrap.
That was
potential
cool.
Red Bull versus Ferrari next year. But I think final word on Bottas and Raikkonen. Very quiet race for the pair of them. Raikkonen back to his old self after a disappointing
I found that
weekend.
very funny. I found that very, very funny that after such a weekend of getting behind him, he's nowhere.
Yeah, just Raikkonen.
That's you know. So.
And Ricciardo and Verstappen.
We've basically been intertwining the top 3 teams. I mean, Verstappen, like you mentioned, did a great job in quali in the race, just did a good job, did the strategy. I mean, like his engineer was saying, you're doing a great job, Max, you're doing amazing on the tyres, this is the strategy, we know the strategy, and they played it to a T to get second place. Ricciardo very quiet in that race. Had a bit of a weird one towards the end because like in the last stint when he pit, he was kind of had like a few moments where he would set a good lap and then he'd kind of fall back by 2-3 seconds and set another good lap and then kind of fall back a little bit. Very, very odd. He's had races like that in the past where he's popping in some fast laps here and there, but he's not consistent enough to catch up. And I really thought
trying to clear some air, get some clean air.
Yeah, maybe I thought at one point he was going to catch Raikkonen and Bottas the way they were getting held up by Hülkenberg, but just didn't come into fruition. Very, very quiet race, but nothing much really else.
Ricciardo very much had a Van Dorn weekend. He's been having a few Van Dorn weekends now where he's just nowhere. This weekend, he said the car felt great, but when people started to find time in Q2, Q3, he just stayed there.
Yeah.
And Verstappen did a great race. He got driver of the day, controversial in my opinion, not deserved. Did a fantastic performance, don't get me wrong, brilliant performance. Verstappen's had Ricciardo on toast lately. Ricciardo, to be fair to him, his reliability has been piss poor ever since, coincidentally, he announced he's leaving the team. But in a way, I'm kind of, after today, I'm kind of just wanting the season to end. I don't know why. I think it's just, I feel like we're dragging out the inevitable of Mercedes going to win both championships again.
No, I am the same way.
Nothing's going to really change.
I'm the same way. I'm excited for 2019 even more now.
I'm ready for next year already. Like
those front wings and also just the
changes,
change,
the drivers.
just the change of the guards, just the difference of seeing what Gasly can do in a Red Bull, what Leclerc can do in a Ferrari. The only kind of constants, the ever boring Mercedes staying the same way. That's also why I've never been a huge fan of. I've had a lot of respect for Mercedes, but I've never been a huge fan of them as a team because even PR wise, they play it very, very bland a lot of the time. They do some exciting stuff. And Hamilton, recently, you guys will know if you've been with me on my channel for since the beginning, like 2012. You guys know I used to actually loathe Hamilton, but now I've grown to respect him quite a bit, especially what he does outside the sport. And but I mean, Merck's just very, very samey, which
that's the only thing that I'll give him credit for. I mean, all his Tommy Hilfiger stuff is awesome. Like,
I was gonna say and it's gonna. I know there's gonna be people calling us out like they did when we were praising him for Italy, but get over it. None of us here are Hamilton fans apart from Cal, and Cal's not even.
I hate him. I despise him.
Cal's like the least biased Hamilton fan you ever meet, but
I respect him.
Hamilton to go away. Go to I think, what was it? It was the US launch, wasn't it?
He went to China, then he went to New York.
He went to China, went to New York to launch his new streetwear line with Tommy Hilfiger, to do something like that whilst other drivers are relaxing and probably training and all this crap. Hamilton does that, which is very, very tiring to get on. You'll know if you've been on long haul flights. Flights are just in general tiring. To go all the way to New York to launch that, do your PR business there. At the same time, keeps Mercedes happy because you're still doing stuff with your affiliated brand of Tommy Hilfiger on the car. To come back then all the way to Singapore and then do the business like this, get a stunning pole out, probably one of the best of his career, and then to get a win like that. And to pretty much put the nail in the coffin for the championship, it can only be respected. There's no way you can hate on him. You have to respect
very
that.
much like when Vettel, when he won his fourth championship with Red Bull, everyone towards the end just sort of started to just accept and respect.
Yeah, I mean,
what he achieved. It feels very much the same with Lewis at the moment, and you just got to give the guy credit, I think.
I would love to fault him at something, but he's not really done much. He's been a bit moany, a bit whiny here and there. That's that's his baggage to me. I don't like that part. His
attitude stinks when it's not going his way.
I don't like that part of him, but when you see him like this on the top of his racing game and also doing all this crazy stuff outside of F1, which I know the traditional F1 fans don't really get, but I think me and Tom, I think you'll agree. Like me and you can really dig that. We're really about that vibe.
I'd buy the stuff he's been.
Yeah, if it wasn't if it didn't have LH everywhere, I would genuinely buy a lot of that stuff.
Even then, I wouldn't mind. I think
it's actually really well designed stuff, and I'm looking forward to whatever else he does in the future. Anyway, but yeah, we're going to get accused of talking too much about Hamilton anyway. So we're going to move on then from the top three. We kind of discussed all of that and kind of did that to death. Probably inevitably discuss it next race weekend when, we'll see how Vettel and Ferrari go. But on to the rest of the grid then. So Fernando Alonso, I know, Tom, you're going to be very, very happy about Alonso's performance in P7. Great strategy work because he stayed out for so long and pretty much negated all the traffic issues that everyone else was having. And he got a very easy and simple P7, and Alonso does it again and drags the car up to that win in Formula B, basically.
This was my driver of the day, Alonso. Absolutely brilliant performance, strategy perfect, and ultimately deserved it. I think he really did put in a stellar performance. McLaren this weekend as a whole did well. I mean, even Van Dorn got P12. Even then, I'm not going to say much about the battle between them. That's been well documented now. But Alonso really did just put in a shift. I know we kind of say it all the time, but it's always good to just see him again pop up in the points. P7. He's 8th in the championship. I mean, he's only one position off from Hulkenberg of being best in the rest in the bloody championship in that car. What can I say? I just think I've got a lot of respect for this guy. It's a shame he's leaving, but I can understand why. The car is what it is, where it is. He put in a great performance, and Van Dorn as well. P12 still beat quite a few guys. Beat Gasly, Stroll, Grosjean, Perez, Hartley, Magnussen, Sirotkin, and Ocon. So still a good performance from Van Dorn there, but Alonso still showing what he can do. And also, I thought it was quite a nice moment that fastest lap he put in as well. I thought that was quite a nice little, a phone lock screen kind of moment, Aarava.
Definitely, definitely turn back the wheels of time. But Magnussen eventually got the fastest lap, which was quite ironically so close to Williams' actual qualifying time. That made me chuckle quite a bit. We move after Alonso then. Carlos Sainz in P8, Hulkenberg P10, kind of sandwiching Leclerc in P9. So the Renaults had a bit of a quiet weekend, to be honest, apart from Hulkenberg showing up, obviously, kind of behind that whole Perez and Sirotkin incident. Very, very quiet weekend. Didn't really see a lot of them in the race feed, really.
Hulkenberg got done by strategy. He hurt from that getting inside the top 10 pounds to start on the Hypersoft. Whereas Sainz benefited from starting 12th but starting on the Ultra Soft. Literally, Sainz and Alonso did a carbon copy strategy. They both went long in the race on the Ultra, avoided all the shenanigans, all the battling, the blue flags.
Well, I guess maybe maybe Sainz was behind Alonso, just taking some race notes. Okay, this is what I can do in the McLaren to do well. So taking some notes from his older Spaniard there, literally carbon copy. So I don't know, not much really else to say about Renault this weekend, but Sauber, Leclerc and P9. Ericsson at one point was looking good for maybe points until Hulkenberg eventually came along. But another solid shift for Leclerc. Like you mentioned briefly, Tom, it was really nice to see that little kind of, insight into maybe what we'll see, hopefully maybe next year or just in the future. That really nice switchback move on Gasly after a big lock-up. Gasly tried something. Once again, Gasly does that a lot. This season, the Toro Rosso, it's been a pattern that it seems him is in his side of the garage love to try the bold, going long on the softest tyre strategy and trying to make it work. He has done a fair few times before. Didn't quite do it this time around because you saw it kind of went off the cliff towards the end. But yeah, good shift by Leclerc. Seemed a little
done well. Even Ericsson done well. I mean, he got slapped in qualifying, 7/10, quite a big margin. However, he almost got points. He was going well.
Yeah, I mean, the Sauber's just going for... I mean, at that point when both of them were in the top 10, I was kind of just thinking, this is what, from other sides of things, the Raikkonen signing for Sauber doesn't seem kind of you're taking the seat up. But for Sauber as a team, if the car's getting that good and it's going to get better hopefully next year, it's going to be a good prospect to have a guy like Kimi, very experienced, getting that car consistently into points, because they're still trying to do a job to even overtake Toro Rosso in the championship. So to have that going into next year where potentially they make a step up is very, very exciting. But all round...
I've heard Raikkonen's actually quite good at giving info and feedback in the debrief. That's what I've heard. Apparently, he's not much of a talker, but when it comes to debriefs and giving feedback, apparently he's not too bad. He's pretty decent at it, and that's why the experience, like you said, that experience factor really does come in for them. That's why I think it's actually a brilliant signing. I think considering the situation for them, their budget and what they can do.
Yeah, and also it's good. It's a good feel as well because Kimi still has a lot of good friends from the older days in Sauber still there at Sauber. So
exactly, yeah. And also, we said it before in the preview, it's a good fit because there's less PR, less spotlight, less pressure. All the things that Kimi likes, there's all the things that Kimi doesn't like, they're not there at Sauber, so he'll get a lot less spotlight, which I think that will also maybe help him with his on-track performances. So I think he's got reasons to be happy there. Yeah,
totally. Bit of a quiet one again for Toro Rosso, really. Obviously, Gasly had a bit of a showing, like I said, with that little move that Leclerc made on him. Hartley nearly got squeezed off into a wall. Did really well to not put it in the Armco barrier. He literally went full lock and took his hand off the steering wheel to get that out and not hit the barrier when Sirotkin squeezed him out.
He drove a good race, Hartley. I was quite impressed. I thought he was quite feisty today. Unlucky.
Especially with Magnussen, he did do well to keep him kind of at bay.
Stood his ground, a bit unlucky with just the battles, really. A bit of debatable defending from Sorokin, a bit of debatable defending / attacking from Magnussen, which is not surprising. But he was, in qualifying close to Gasly. Also, he was right behind Gasly in the race until I think he did an extra stop, didn't he? So he did a 2, Gasly did a 1. So that probably set him back. But again, wasn't a terrible performance from Harley. He's not, he didn't get slapped by Gasly or anything. He just
No, I mean, neither of them in the points, so you can't kind of fault him, really, in terms of what he managed to get in the race. Moving to Williams then, I guess a very, very interesting part then in the race, really. Stroll, we didn't see him at all in the race, so I'm not going to even bother. Sorokin, though, man, he had some spirit in that race, defending his life against Sergio Perez, which ultimately turned into a bit of a kerfuffle crash, and it looked like Perez's controller disconnected mid-race on the F1 game. He swerved across. That was just... I think the entirety of F1 Twitter put their hand up to their face in a facepalm fashion as soon as that happened. It was just kind of like, what on earth?
In a bit.
What is going on with that? But Sorokin,
I'll let you take this one because I think you're quite happy with this. So I'll let you.
Yeah, because he came second last, but before that incident and before his little just kind of going down the order after that, because he clearly had damage, I loved his racing spirit of like defending his heart out in what is clearly a shite car, because Kevin Magnussen set a fastest lap that was only about 5 or 6 tenths off their actual qualifying time. So clearly that car was horrendous, but I loved his fighting spirit to keep Perez behind. I thought he did nothing wrong in that fight, stuck his ground, and even after that, stuck his ground with Grosjean during that little kerfuffle where Hamilton and Verstappen closed up quite rapidly. Grosjean was the one attacking him. Sorokin was just a sitting duck. I'm sure Sorokin was just waiting for the blue flag period, but then he had Roman sending one down the inside, so of course he's going to try and defend, and even then he did a great job. And both of us have said in the past that we're impressed by the way he talks in the presses about the team, and it seems like he tries to keep the team spirit as high as he can, as much as you can, in a team like Williams where it's a dog shite kind of car, so there's only so much you can do to up the morale. I think GG's to him, and I think that's going to give him obviously didn't finish well, but good boost of confidence going into his home Grand Prix then.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't put any better myself. I think he drove a great race. Unfortunately finished P19, got that penalty, but he done a good job, and he's growing on me. Really growing on me.
Also, this Williams car was this Williams performance was a testament to that Italy result was such a fluke, such a fluke. That car is still horrendous, and I don't think it's improving. Yep. I don't think so at all. But we're going to move on then to Force India. We could gloss over Haas quickly.
Yeah, we got
Grosjean. Obviously, the biggest thing he did in that race was attack Sorokin on the blue flags, and ultimately that frustrated the hell out of Hamilton and Verstappen. But apart from that, he qualified so much better than Magnussen, but then just fell away. And kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird because it looks like K-Mag didn't really gain much confidence going to the race compared to his qualifying. He was distraught by his quali. But Grosjean did a pretty okay quali and then just went backwards. So
this was a classic Haas just disappeared.
Bipolar
weekend. They
race,
were nowhere this weekend. Like
very bipolar.
Not really much to say. It's another one of them ones where you can't explain their loss of pace, but they were just nowhere. It's not the first time. Won't be the last.
Yeah, and then Force India. Well, let's get to that. I think I'll let you maybe take it now, Tom, about the Perez. Let's talk about Perez Ocon first. Lap 1. Ocon out the race straight away. Little love tap from Perez straight into the wall.
More than just a love tap, mate.
A bit more than love tap, but I'll just give the benefit of love tap.
I'm not going to give no benefit here. Perez put his teammate right in the wall.
He was just getting friendly. Go on. Let us know. Sorry, what you think.
No, I've personally never really liked Perez that much. I think he's got a bit of a nasty side to him. The same way I don't like Magnussen in that way. They just hate that. I understand you've got a bit of a ruthless edge, but there's ruthless edge, and then having just incompetence to just do the basics right. Perez, for me, there's an angle off the start when he's from his actual onboard camera, and you can physically see how he straightens up the steering wheel and leaves it there for a solid second and a half before keep on turning, which knocked him into Ocon and put Ocon in the wall. Again, I think all the kerfuffles they had last season, they were all Perez's fault for me when they came together and came to blows. And again, later on in the race with Sorokin, Perez completely turned it into him. And it was side by side.
I don't know what that was. That was literally like especially from the off-board angle, like them coming towards the camera. It was literally like you just go straight, mate. And what you've done is you just turned right or I guess left on from his perspective, left into him.
Yep.
Like, I just don't know. I just don't.
For me, Perez is a dirty driver. For me, he always has been. Like, even when he started in McLaren with Button, for me, yeah, it was fair racing, what you could say. But even then, you can just, for me personally, from my experience, I can just tell when someone is just a bit over the top. And for me, Perez has always been just a bit too hot under the collar for me. And ultimately, today, when someone performs like that and they do that sort of thing, I'm just like, yeah, mate, you don't deserve no props from me. I'm sorry, you just dirty.
I mean, yeah.
As for Ocon,
yeah, I mean Ocon,
who's out of a drive, by the way. Just saying,
yeah, it's looking pretty bad for him.
You look at Bottas, you look at Perez, you look at Stroll.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I jokingly tweeted out, there was on the F1 Live before the race, Ocon was talking to Stroll, and I kind of just took the picture and captioned it, can you give me a seat next year? Because obviously, it's not looking great. There's been some choice words of Toto Wolff, which are quite hypocritical of him to say about there being some verbal agreements of Ocon, I suspect with probably the likes of Williams and Force India.
Well, I think Renault was the one that was being referred to.
Oh, yeah, and Renault.
They commit to Ricciardo.
Yeah, Renault, of course, yeah. But it's all verbal stuff as well, so that's not a binding contract. But Toto was getting very sassy about it, but at the same time, it's like a coin on the other foot, basically. So
why didn't you promote him?
It's a shame, really. But I hope to God that Ocon, it's a case of if he does have to sit out,
He'll be back.
I hope he gets signed as a reserve driver for Mercedes. And then it's literally a case of now that I feel like Ocon has a bargaining power now here. He has leverage over Toto Wolff that I hope to God he's ruthless in his negotiation and he goes, right, I will sign a reserve driver Mercedes contract, but I want a clause in there that says the second you're going to axe Bottas, I get that seat.
Yeah. I mean, even then, I think Mercedes still have bargaining power over Force India because they still supply them the engines, You can't forget
Not anymore, though. Not anymore, I don't think. I think the Stroll money's too powerful now.
Yeah, but you've got no engine, you've got no car. I don't think you're
No, but that's not. It's bargaining in a sense, but you're still actually technically you're a customer. You're just buying it. They do have some bargaining like that. I get what you mean, but like when you boil it down, it is actually you're just buying an engine. So it's kind of like to a point. Yes, there's bargaining, but then when you have Stroll money coming in, then literally your affinity with Mercedes becomes, I'm buying an engine off you, calm down. Sort of.
I guess so. It's just unfortunate, really.
Very unfortunate.
Just the way F1 works out, it's a shame. Just he'll be back. I'm not worried. I think
he will be back. It's just a shame he's going to have to miss out a year.
Listen, I think I don't know if you saw F1 video, like a live thing with Ocon on Friday. It's a 15-minute video. And there's basically questions on the YouTube live stream towards Ocon. And Will made some good points of look at Alonso. Alonso came in 2001 with Minardi. He sat out 02 and came back in 03. In 03, he won his first race, got his first pole. There's been a lot of drivers that have actually sat out. Yeah, Hulkenberg came into F1 2010, sat out 2011, came back in 2012 with Force India. Yeah. A lot of drivers have actually, more than you think, have sat out a year and have come back later on. So, I think it's not too concerning. I'd even say
it's not doom and gloom, but then also the caveat is you wait one more year. George Russell's 1 more year experienced. Mercedes they're going to have to, once they wait the year for Ocon, they need to make sure he is in a seat for sure.
And let's not forget, they let go Pascal Wehrlein this week.
Yeah.
Mercedes have a bit of
it's getting away from them a little bit. It's getting away from
them.
They have the opposite of Red Bull now. They have too many drivers in their stable, which was the problem Red Bull had back a couple of years ago. And it's just unfortunate, really. But that's the way the F1 cookie crumbles sometimes. But I think that's pretty much it then, Tom, for the Singapore Grand Prix review. I don't know if you have any kind of last points to add on, really, about anything, really, to any up and down the grid.
No, I think it's worth mentioning in going back to the big team debate. I've seen so many tweets during this week about how Leclerc's going to rattle Vettel's cage. He probably will. I'm not saying he won't. And this is mainly Hamilton fans tweeting this, but I think it's also worth noting if, Toto Wolff, who's a hypocrite, had not been so safe with his team selection and actually brought in Ocon to that second seat, I'm pretty sure Hamilton would have been rattled as well if Ocon had started showing him up the same way Leclerc will probably show Vettel up as well. So I don't think it's a question of Vettel being a poor driver and Hamilton being better. I think they're both really good drivers, but at the end of the day, it's just a natural cycle of F1. When young drivers come up, the same way Verstappen's slapped up Ricciardo lately, I think any experienced driver is going to get shocked to the system.
Yeah.
I think people take the Ricciardo Vettel 2014 seriously way too seriously in terms of Vettel's just a shit driver, and if a young one comes in, he's going to destroy him. I think people are forgetting also Vettel, what he has achieved.
Yeah.
And personally, I would like to see Hamilton again with a genuinely competitive teammate. People can say what they want, I still don't believe Rosberg was at that level. Sure, he won a championship, but that was down to reliability more than Rosberg's own doing. And Bottas just isn't as good as we all thought he was in the Williams car. So, I'd love to see someone like Alonso that level against Hamilton again. That'd be awesome. So, yeah. But all in all, a great weekend. I can't complain. And like I said before, I'm kind of now just wanting the season to end, really. It's just, I don't know.
Kind of, yeah. I get what you mean, because
I feel like we're delaying the inevitable with these results.
No, it's because I think literally it's almost like last year. It's literally that same things happens, like, for fuck's sake. Like, literally, we had a title fight brewing away for so long, and just in an instant of like 3 races, it's gone down the toilet. And so we're like, yeah, there's still races to win, and Ferrari could definitely still win any of these races coming up. But it doesn't really mean a hell of a lot now, because they have to go on the run of winning every single race left. And I just don't see that happening. And so that means that any race they do win, it's kind of like, okay, cool, great, you won. But, still...
It's like, even if Vettel he wins the next 3 races, that's a 21-point turn.
He needs to win a race.
19 behind.
He needs, like, in Russia, or the next 3 races, he needs to win that race and have Hamilton come, like, 4th or 3rd.
You need that, or 2 races like that. It's like the gap's that big. Like, okay, you get a 7-point turn from first to second. Like, is what I'm saying. I think Vettel he needs to win the next 3 at least, like minimum the next 3 to get 21 points.
I just don't see that happening.
Worse, like Hamilton, even if he gets 2nd place, it's still a 21-point turn in Vettel's favour.
Yeah.
And then with 3 more races to go, and the gap being 19 points, you never know. But it like you said, it's going to need Lewis to be 3rd or 4th or whatever, something like that. Like similar to Russia last year in 2017 when Hamilton I think got 4th.
It was just off weekend for him.
Yeah. Like, but Hamilton is on it at the minute. Like he's been on it ever since Germany.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's definitely.
I'm not denying though. There is a chance that he has another off one at Russia, because he's not been like.
I can't lie, I'm starting to really struggle to believe it now.
Singapore was never a bogey one for him as a driver. It was more the car. Whereas Russia, that was a really odd situation last year. I still don't really get why he was so off Bottas on that entire weekend. So you never know. But at the same time, I'm kind of with you. He's got that. When Hamilton gets momentum like that, he just runs with it. Especially
it's tunnel vision.
Especially if no one in his own team is stopping that momentum, like Rosberg kind of did a few times when they were battling. Like it's just him. The Bottas is just a blinker in the mirror for him. So yeah. We'll see how it goes out, but I'm sure there'll be some more F1 news, maybe about the remaining driver seats, maybe in the next week or whatever. So we'll kind of catch up.
We'll probably be a day early or something.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, I mean, we completely jinxed the Leclerc one. Literally called it. But it's fine.
And the Norris one.
And the Norris one. Yeah, we do. It's the podcast curse. Look, you want driver transfers
to
happen.
One.
you want driver transfers to happen. Make us talk about them, and we'll make them happen the day after we post the video. But yeah, that's gonna be the review then for the Singapore Grand Prix. If you guys did enjoy it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Check us out on Twitter. Links on screen right now. And also, obviously, we're on audio as well, so you can check those out to get the podcast on the go. SoundCloud and iTunes below. And if you like what we do around here, you can support us directly on Patreon as well. Link below. And we'll see you guys next time. Finally, if you do fancy getting yourself a racing chair, you can use the code PitlaneF1 at G2 Mega and get yourself 5% off for a desk chair or whatever, or a racing chair for your new F1 setup for F1 2018 or whatever. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.